Hello, hello, hello. Oh, hello. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Well, that's up to you. Welcome. For those who are in the audience, oh, sorry about that. Not quite sure what happened there. Now that you're all awake, for those in the audience, if you would like to hear the presentation en français, it is being simultaneously translated, and you can get a headset and over by the tech table. Thanks. That's the intro music, right? Welcome, everyone. My name is Reni Barlow. I'm the Executive Director of Youth Science Canada, and we're here live in Edmonton at the Canada-wide Science Fair 2023 Meet the Winners panel. It's my pleasure to have on stage all the top winners from the Canada-wide Science Fair. This week's 2023 Canada-wide Science Fair brought together 396 finalists with 340 projects from across Canada. And after over 2,000 judging interviews by over 230 judges, yesterday's award ceremony concluded by announcing the grand award winners, the top junior, intermediate, and senior projects in both discovery and innovation for 2023. Joining us here on the panel are the grand award recipients. These 7 students have been honored as Canada's top young scientists, engineers, and innovators for 2023. We'll have the opportunity to speak with them about the path that brought them here, what inspires them, and of course the outstanding STEM work that they've done. So I want to start with our Platinum Award winner in Discovery at the junior level. And I want to introduce Andre Marty. He's from Saanich, BC. And his project was entitled Sweet Scores, and I want to ask Andre to just give us a bit of an introduction to his project and what he did.
Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, great, thank you. So, in my project, Sweet Scores, as a type 1 diabetic, I investigated how different foods affect the blood sugar of a type 1 diabetic while playing sports. So in my project, I compared simple sugars against complex sugars against proteins to see which food category was best for maintaining my blood sugar. After conducting multiple trials, I was able to conclude that proteins are best for maintaining a diabetic's blood sugar during sports.
Awesome, thanks so much. So we'll move on to the Platinum Award winner in Discovery for the intermediate, at the intermediate level. Noah, if you could give us an introduction to your project, which was the phage takes center stage for water quality testing. be on.
All right, there we go. Yeah, that should be working. Okay. It's not working?
No.
All right, there we go. That sounds better. All right. So my project was based on using microorganisms that are known as bacteriophages as indicators of water quality in a lake near my house that's known as Lake Wilcox. And what I was able to do was develop a model that allows us to determine the source of fecal contamination in the lake using those bacteriophages as proxy indicators.
Thanks very much. And next up, we have our Platinum Award winner in Innovation for Intermediate, Yuri Kin. And Yuri is from Saskatoon, and her project was entitled A Novel Approach to Using Artificial Intelligence to Aid the Hearing Impaired.
Hello. Firstly, thank you so much. So essentially what I did was I used artificial intelligence and machine learning to create a device that aids the hearing impaired. So when you have hearing impairments, it's very hard to know if someone's behind you. This can be important as it can lead to potential accidents. So I just created a device that uses artificial intelligence to detect humans, as well as a distance sensor to find distances, and a vibration motor to alert the user.
Thanks very much. And our next one is the Platinum Award winner in Innovation from the senior category. And this is a pair, Malik Budaraja and Caitlin Wu. And they are from Waterloo. And their project was Nail Braille, a novel approach toward Braille education. Give us a bit of an overview of what you did.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor to be able to share a project with you. So what we've created is a device that's designed to teach visually impaired people Braille in a way that minimizes the external assistance they need for learning, and it's also low cost.
So we made the device using some simple hobbyist electronics parts, and we also made some accompanying software that helps users train and learn Braille through immediate feedback.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Next up, our Best Project Award winner in Discovery, Elizabeth Chen from Edmonton, and a little hometown victory here. So Elizabeth's project was the optimization of CAR T cell therapy using RNA sequencing analysis for biomarker identification. So give us an overview of your project.
Okay. Okay, good. You guys can hear me? Yeah, so I was really interested in CAR T cell therapy and specifically how patients respond after having this treatment. It's actually a novel form of immunotherapy for cancer treatment. So it's different from conventional cancer treatments. And so what I did was I did a genomic analysis to identify candidate genetic biomarkers that can be used to monitor patient response after CAR T cell therapy. So I use a bioinformatics pipeline as well as statistical analyses. And yeah, that's kind of how I did it.
Thanks very much. And finally, our Best Project Award winner in Innovation, Arushi Nath from Toronto. And her project titled Developing Algorithms to Determine Asteroids' Physical Properties and Success of Deflection Missions.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. So my name's Arushi, and my project was all about planetary defense. Currently, more asteroids are being discovered than we're able to analyze. And if an asteroid were on collision course with the Earth, we would need to know its physical properties to be able to deflect it. So my project tackles this issue. I created an algorithm that can find the physical properties of asteroids, and then I applied it in a real-world scenario to measure the effectiveness of an asteroid deflection mission. Thank you.
Thanks very much. So there we go. Our 7 top winners from the Canada-wide Science Fair. Arushi, a little bit of history here that you may not know, but Arushi is the first Canada-wide finalist to win the Best Project Award twice and in a row, back to back, since 1989 and 1990. when it was won by Corey Hallam from Montreal. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And maybe I'll just start, Arushi, with you. Obviously, as we were giving out awards last night and people were going across the stage, people had different reactions as they were receiving the awards. What were your thoughts as your name was called as the Best Project Award winner?
Well, I was definitely not expecting it. Like, I remember last year when I won it, it was online, so it was definitely a totally different experience. And I was really surprised too. But this time I was totally not expecting it to win it in the second time in a row. Like, I was hoping for like a Youth Can Innovate Award, and then I got it and I was so surprised. And then I wasn't even expecting my name to be called when it came to the Platinum Awards.
How about you, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I was like really excited. I think if you saw me at my table, I was like, yeah. So yeah, it was really great. Yeah, and I actually did the fair last year, but I obviously didn't get the same result. So it was really exciting for me to hear my name called.
Noah, as you were going across the stage, every time as more awards were presented to you, the expression on your face just changed to kind of like, I really don't believe this is happening. So tell us a little bit about how you were feeling. We need to give you a mic, though.
So I'm going to need to use Arushi's mic because mine is not having it today. But yeah, I guess after the first award, I was sort of just incredulous, I guess, and I just couldn't believe that my hard work was paying off in that way. And as they kept coming, I guess it just became a more surreal experience. Even now, it sort of feels like a fever dream. So hopefully this will hit me in like 3 to 4 days, but for now, still a little bit, unreal.
Andre, what were you thinking as you were being called up and realizing that you'd won one of the top awards?
Well, unlike Noah, I think it'll take me about a month for this to really set in. But well, after the bronze awards were called, I thought if I had any chance of getting anything at all, I had a small chance of maybe getting a bronze award. And after I didn't hear my name for the bronze awards, I didn't think much of it. Like, I thought, okay, well, it was fun. I learned a lot of stuff. But by the time it got to the gold and I heard my name called, I went like crazy. And then after I heard my name called for the platinum, I was like so in shock that I like tripped going up the stairs. So it was pretty crazy.
And Caitlin, how about you?
I have to say that the science fair has taught me such a huge life lesson. Actually, just a couple of days before CWSF, I was rejected from my first choice university. And also, I've been participating in regional fairs for 3 years. This is my first time qualifying for CWSF, so I really was not expecting anything at all. Like, actually, even high school in general, everything is just like a roller coaster. You have your ups and your downs. Yesterday was definitely an up that I was not expecting. But
that's awesome. Maybe that university will be having second thoughts now. Malik, what do you think? What was that like last night?
It was definitely very surreal. This is actually also my second science fair. The first one I did in grade 6, and I got dead last. So, come a long way, definitely. And yeah, it is really surreal. And yeah, that's all I really have to say.
Dead last. Is there an award for that?
There should have been.
How do you know you're dead last? Anyway.
Well, there was really only 2 people. And
okay.
I was confused.
So Yuri, what were you thinking last night as you were coming up on the stage?
I was just in disbelief, to be honest. We really weren't expecting anything. This all really started as a conversation at a bus stop, and yeah, come a long way.
And how about you? What were you thinking last night?
Wow, so my first science fair was also in grade 6. It was so last minute. I did it like 12 at night. It was crazy, and obviously I did horrible. I don't know how I passed that class. It was middle school, so crazy. But now I'm here. Yesterday when my name was called, like my heart rate just spiked, and when my name was called again, like I think I had to be sent to the ER. Like it was like that close, but yeah.
So you talked a little bit, Malik, about that this started as a conversation, your project. Tell us a little bit about that story and how that project came to be, because this is, you know, a partnership is a kind of a unique thing, and it requires, you know, strengths from both partners. Tell us a little bit about how that came together.
Yeah, for sure. This is quite an interesting story. So we actually just met this school year. We didn't know that we existed, even though we were in the same school from grade 9 to 11. And so I'd say that, like, Malik has the skill set that I do not have. And this is why when people say teamwork makes the dream work, I feel like this is a prime example demonstrating that concept.
Go ahead. Yeah, give us a little bit about how the project developed and what each of you contributed to that.
Yeah. So I think what happened was that Caitlin was actually working on this for a while. She worked at an assisted living care facility, and she started this project about I think a year ago almost. And what happened was that she was making these prototypes, but she wasn't able to make a functional one that was to scale. I think that was the big problem. And that's where I came in. We met at the bus stop, and that's, yeah, really putting our skill sets together and making this happen.
Sounds like this could be a movie, you know. We met at the bus stop, and then and it turned into winning the Canada-wide Science Fair. Awesome. So Yuri, how did your project get started?
So I'm an athlete myself. In the summer, I was reading an article. It was about a runner who has hearing impairments, and he was just talking about how when he went running, it was very hard for him to hear people behind him yelling to get out of the way. And I was like, maybe this is a massive issue that I could solve. And then I found out that later that the hearing impaired actually have lower physical activity rates. So I was like, yeah, I need to solve this.
So really, you're just spotting a problem and finding it and saying, yeah, I think I can find a solution. Was there ever any time when you thought, how would I ever solve this, or you know, what am I doing solving this problem?
Yeah, there were a lot of ups and downs when I was trying to design my prototypes, but I powered through thanks to my parents and my friends. So yeah, just keep going. That's my advice.
So Andre, give us a little background on how your project got started, because you have a pretty personal connection to your project.
Yeah, so for me, it was really like a personal experience. I love to play soccer, pretty competitive with it. I play like 4 to 5 days a week, and it's one of my main passions. So I really wanted to like combine like my passions with science and soccer together to try and help my day-to-day life. So what really motivated me was the fact that often when I was playing soccer games and practices, my blood sugar was often either really high or really low, and that was really making soccer really hard for me, as I often needed to come off the field to get juice or come off the field to get insulin to bring my blood sugar down. So the goal for this project and the motivation was really just to help me play better on the field and feel better off the field. Yeah.
But of course, it could benefit more than just you, right? This has the potential to benefit any diabetic athletes.
Yeah, in the future, like I'm really hoping to share these results so I can help others. As protein I learned that is like really good for maintaining blood sugar, and I feel like if other type 1, type 2, and pre-diabetics learn this information, that they can really use it as a building block to build upon and incorporate into their meals.
And Noah, your project starts from a pond, not very far, Lake Wilcox. So tell us a little bit about that background and how that got started.
Sure. So contrary to stereotypes that surround people in STEM, I do touch grass. And during the summer, I'd love to go to the lake that's near my house that I ended up conducting the study on. It's known as Lake Wilcox. And at the lake, I noticed that my friends and I, obviously, we wanted to try a whole bunch of things like canoeing, kayaking, and other stuff that was along the lake. But I did just happen to come across a news article that was talking about indications of rashes and gastrointestinal illness from people after swimming in the lake. So through a series of fortunate actually, events where I met my mentor, Dr. Lawrence Goodridge, Actually, can I get a clap for him right now? Thanks, guys. Yeah, so after I had met him, I noticed that his work in microbiology might somehow be applicable to finding a solution that was really personal for me. And I hope to sort of take what we've been able to get from this project and bring it to a global scale.
That's great, thanks. Elizabeth, CAR T-cell therapy is not something that a lot of high school students spend a lot of time thinking about. So give us a bit of background on how you got involved with that and where that inspiration came from.
Yeah, sure. So can you guys hear?
Turn it on, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you guys can hear. Okay, great. Yeah, so cancer's always been a really personal issue for me, or something I've always wanted to look into more. I think when I was in elementary school, I fundraised every year for the Terry Fox Foundation. Actually, in Edmonton, we have the Cross Cancer Institute, so that was always something I knew about. And yeah, fundraising for cancer is really important to me. So about a year and a half ago, I was looking into doing my regional science fair, and I was like, okay, I want to do something about this. I want to look into this. So I was researching like conventional cancer treatments, and I was like, okay, there's got to be something else here, right? There's got to be an alternative that cancer patients can look to if conventional cancer treatments don't work for them. Actually, funny story. So I'm like on Google, I'm looking around, and the next day I wake up, my dad's like on the stock market or something, and he's like, hey, have you heard about CAR T-cell therapy? That's quite new. Like, it's not that new, but it's newer than what we have currently. And so I was like, okay, maybe I need to go in that direction, and everything just went from there. So even though I've like been, fundraising and interested in doing research in cancer for a long time, it really only just came to me to look at CAR T-cell therapy about a year and a half ago. So.
Thanks, that's great. Now, similarly, Arushi, high school students don't spend a lot of time thinking about CAR T-cell therapy. They probably don't spend a lot of time thinking about the Earth being hit by asteroids either. But you do. 2 years in a row now, your focus has been destruction of the planet. Talk a little bit about where that idea comes from and what drives you to look at the future of literally the future of our planet?
For sure, thank you. So I think it started for a long time. Even since I was very young, I've always been interested in astronomy. At the age of 7 or 8, I became members of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, which really allowed me to get the first step into astronomy. I got to view the sky from huge telescopes and learned so much about planets, constellations. And then it kept going forward from there. I got my own telescope, and I started getting more and more involved in astronomy, going to meetings, giving presentations myself. And last year, I heard that NASA, for the first time, was going to try to change the path of an asteroid by impacting it head-on with a spacecraft called the Double Asteroid Redirection Test. And I thought this was a perfect opportunity for me to try to make a project out of it.
All right, that's great. So it seems like the inspiration for the projects is very personal in many cases. You see something, you see a problem, you see something that needs to be worked on, and you take it from there. So obviously that comes from life outside of school and life beyond doing STEM projects. So give us a little bit of a background on the kinds of things that you do when you're not doing a STEM project. The things you do in your spare time that are fun to do, and maybe some of the ways that you help your community and so on. So Arushi, we'll start with you. We'll go the other way.
For sure. So can you hear me? Yep. Great. So I love playing water polo and doing rock climbing. So those are the few sports that I do. I also play piano sometimes in my spare time. And in addition, in the last around 6 or 7 months, I've started getting more politically interested in the politics of my city in Toronto. So I've been campaigning for some candidates and starting to get myself involved by presenting at budget meetings. So that's a hobby that I've started now.
So Arushi, wins the top award at the Canada-wide Science Fair twice. Next year, she might be the mayor of Toronto. Okay, so on to Elizabeth. What kinds of things do you do in your spare time?
Yeah, so I'm actually interested in a lot of different things. I feel like people will tell you, okay, do one thing and do it well, but I'm not like that. I just like to do everything. So I love basketball. I play basketball, and I also love music. I play the alto sax and as well as piano, and I also debate. yeah, debate's been a really important thing for me because it's allowed me to speak better and consider more perspectives. And at school, I'm also vice president of our students' union, and I'm also a representative for the Wisest Youth Council in Edmonton. So that's actually women in scholarship, engineering, science, and technology. And what we work on is like getting over barriers for those who traditionally have them when entering into science. So that's actually really important to me.
Great, thanks. And Noah, a little background on what you do when you're not working on a STEM project.
Sure. So I'm a pianist. I recently started composing piano, and I was able to play one of my compositions here at the talent show. So that was really awesome. I coach I coach tennis, and I've been doing that as well for the past year and a half, because teaching and tennis have always been two things that I've really loved. So it's been nice to be able to, fuse those together. And I guess the thing that I do full time is look after my little brother Marco. He wanted a shout out, so there it is, Marco. There's your shout out. And yeah, those are about the three main things that I'm doing when I'm not doing STEM.
That's great, thanks. And Andre, how about you?
So when I do have some free time, there's a whole bunch of things that I love to do. Of course, as I stated earlier, I'm an avid soccer player, one of my main passions. And I also love to play the trumpet. I play the trumpet at school in jazz band, and I really enjoy that. One of my biggest feats was when I was 5, we got a lot of help with I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 5 years old. And around this time, we got a lot of help from Help for a Dream, which is a local children's charity in my area, and also JDRF, which is the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And when I was about 6 years old, I started doing handstands downtown. So if I asked any of you guys for pins for a handstand, that's probably why I was able to hold it for like 45 seconds. And I also started doing bottle recycling when I was about 7 years old. So I've raised about $50,000 for those charities in my town. Yeah.
Wow, congratulations. And Caitlin.
So right now I am balancing 2 part-time jobs on top of school, but a lifesaver for that would be music. I play piano as well, and that sort of gives me the peace and the connection that kind of puts my life together. But the 2 jobs that I have right now are also very, very different, so it gives me something interesting in my life. One of them is working at an assisted living care facility. I work there as a kitchen server, so the job I do is pretty insignificant. You can imagine washing dishes for 2 years, not fun. But even with such like a seemingly boring job, there are small things that add up to create an experience that you never know what can lead you to. And then my other part-time job is as a Taekwondo instructor. That is another thing that I also really enjoy doing.
Okay, so that's great. Malik, what do you do in your spare time?
Well, I'd like to say that life is a STEM project. But yeah, I do really like programming, so that's one of my hobbies, one of the things I really focus on, as well as math. So I help run the math and computer science clubs at my school. And so that's one of the big things I do. Unfortunately, I don't have a job right now, but if anyone's hiring, you know to call.
So if somebody's looking for a talented programmer, we know where to look. Okay, that's great. And Duri, what do you do in your spare time?
So I'm also an avid soccer player, or maybe what I like to call football, actual football maybe. But I like to play a lot of soccer, and I also help out around my family business a lot. So yeah, that's what I do in my free time.
Well, it's quite a group. We could have a small band up here, it sounds like, and that, and Taekwondo instruction, and all kinds of things, and a small beginnings of a soccer team, it sounds like, as well. So we've got quite a group here. Sometimes there's this idea that when in science generally, and science and engineering, and also in STEM projects, that you just kind of think of a great idea, and then you get started on it, and you just go all the way through, and it just works out perfectly, and then, you know, you win a Nobel Prize, or you win, you know, the Canada-wide Science Fair, or you come up with some great invention, and it's just a pretty easy path. But the truth is that that's rarely the case. So give us a little bit of insight into the path that you followed, and maybe some of the bumps, maybe some of the humorous things that happened along the way, some of the failures, for want of a better word, along the way, and how you dealt with them. So Yuri, maybe kick it off with that.
Sure. So when I was starting my project, I was getting into a lot of machine learning. Unfortunately, the beginnings were pretty rough. I remember testing out like object recognition. So I'd put my hand in front of the camera, and it would be like, your hand's a bird, and then your hand's a dog, or whatever. And I was like, what? So that took a long time for me to figure out. And another thing was that batteries. I could not find a perfect battery that would work for my project with so many outputs and inputs. So I had to buy like all the batteries at my local Walmart. It was a great test.
Okay. And Mullik, how about you?
So I did a lot of the prototyping, and one of the big hiccups that we ran into was like finding good parts that were cheap, but also like they worked well. And one of the earlier ideas that we had was to use small like DC motors, but we quickly realized that there's so many problems with them. Without an extra sensor, they don't know where they are. They're really small motors for like high RPM, so they have like next to no torque when you're spinning them slowly. So that was some of the problems that we had. And then actually building out some of the later prototypes, I don't have very many tools with me. My dad is an engineer, but those are more like power tools for woodworking and whatnot. So I didn't have a multimeter, and without that, building a circuit was really challenging. And I did end up burning my hand once, so that was fun.
Oh. But you're okay now?
I am okay now,
okay,
yeah.
Good. Okay, and Caitlin, what about you? Any stories to tell, failures, bumps along the road?
Yes, I think when it comes to creating a project, the process starts before you even realize it. I think all of us have already been exposed to a problem, if not multiple. And it just takes the time and the mentality to sit down and think of possible solutions, and even networking, talking to other people, having a mentor maybe. I want to give a special shout out to all the teachers at my school and to Shad Western as well for supporting innovation and giving us the ability, the opportunity to think about these issues and to try to create a solution. And in terms of road bumps that came along the way, after we created our second most recent prototype, we tested it with some of our classmates against a wooden board. So we have people learning Braille through a wooden board, and then people learning Braille through the device that we put in so much time and effort into making. But guess what? People learn better through the wooden board than through our device. That was very discouraging, but we later did analyze what went wrong, and then we came back with subset learning.
So people learn better on the wooden board than your device. Obviously, yeah, that's pretty bad news. But what were the end results that you ended up in terms of your device compared to the wooden board?
Yeah, so with our most recent testing, after incorporating, we use what's called cognitive load theory. Basically, people learn better when they are given smaller chunks to learn from. If you imagine yourself eating a pizza, if you eat it all at once, you're going to throw it up. But if you eat them one slice at a time, then you have time to digest all of that information. So we created a training program where you would learn just starting at A to F, and then as you master these letters, it'll add more for you to learn from. And that solved the problem, and so with our most recent testing, those who learned through our board could identify 4.4 characters out of 26, and those who learned through our device could identify 8.8 this time.
All right. And by the way, small commercial here. Cognitive load theory is the theory behind the design of our poster template, which says that, if you present small chunks of material, people will be able to grasp it more easily. So, once again, a promotion for our poster template. So, Andre, how about you? What bumps along the road, funny things, anything that, stories that you have to tell?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, as I am living with this disease, there's of course along the way, 24 hours a day, always some small little challenges that occur when I could be least expecting it. Whether it's like during my testing period when I'm recording my blood sugars for my experiment, or whether it's just when I'm sleeping. For example, after I started my project about 2 months in mid-February, I had a really low blood sugar in the middle of the night. And it was pretty dangerous. Like I had to drink like so much juice, it was sickening. I didn't like it at all. It was terrible. But of course, like as it is a life disease that I'm living with every day. There's little small road bumps along the way. But I would say there was one that occurred during my project that was really a really big bummer. I had just drank in a smoothie, which was one of my examples of simple sugar, and I just completely forgot to bolus, which is just an acronym for administering insulin. So I literally just completely forgot. And what ended up happening is my blood sugar went like through the roof. It was really bad. And I wasn't able to count it because it was an invalid trial, of course, but it was a rough night, yeah.
Okay, and Andre, how about you? Noah. Noah, what kind of bumps and things did you run into along the way?
So, of course, I saw challenges along the results portion where I expected to find a diversity of the microorganism that I was looking for, and I only ended up finding a single instance of that organism, so I had to rework the idea that was going to allow me to identify the source of the fecal contamination. But on a more personal and anecdotal level, it was my first time working in a lab, so when I actually walked in, there was something that's known as a biosafety cabinet. And on the top, there was a label that said, warning, pathogenic bacteria in use. And my mentor just went up to the hood and opened it. And I think I ran a good 5 meters back. And I was just like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I just forgot to take that down. So that was a scare. But yeah, aside from that, it was a really cool experience.
Okay. And Elizabeth, any bumps along the road for you as you did your project?
Yeah, so I don't think my story is as interesting as any of the ones I already said, but for my project I had to learn how to use a bioinformatics pipeline like pretty much from scratch by myself, and it was really hard because I had very little background in doing that, and so I would go like on open information like tutorials, things like that online, and it was difficult for me to learn it because it's kind of completely different from what we learn in school. So I remember just sitting there in my basement at like 2 a.m. just like so frustrated because I couldn't get this thing to work. Maybe it was, I can't remember what it was, like it was probably because I had like a parameter wrong or something, but it was so hard to make it work. And so I think I just left it for 3 days. I came back and eventually I got it, but it took me a long time to overcome that obstacle, and it happened multiple times. So I think all I learned from that was just you need to continue even if it looks like it's not going to work.
And Arushi, how about you?
Yeah, for sure. So my project took like almost a year to make, and I faced several bumps along the way. One example is, since my whole project was based on taking images from telescopes and then analyzing it, right after the impact of NASA's mission, everyone was trying to get time on telescopes to observe the asteroid, and it was like a race to try to get as many observations as I could. And at the end, I didn't get that many, I didn't get enough. But this actually was a learning opportunity because it allowed me to collaborate with other astronomers and share data together, which would give me enough data to perform my analysis. So it was great meeting so many people after this challenge.
Okay, so you're competing with all the other astronomers around the world trying to get the data. That's pretty good. So if we know there are youth out there who are thinking about doing a STEM project, maybe wondering how to get started and whatever. What advice would you give to young people who are maybe thinking about doing a STEM project? First of all, about why to do a project, but also just some advice on what they should keep in mind as they're working on the project. So Rishi, kick that one off.
For sure. So I think like doing a STEM project is very important, especially at such a young age, because eventually we will be forced to tackle these issues. So it's best to start as early as we can. And if you're looking to do a STEM project, I would say start with your passions and interests. Like maybe if you're interested in music or a specific type of sport, then start with that. See if you can see any problems or any ideas you have related to the subjects, and just kind of build upon it. And don't think too much at the beginning exactly what you want to try to solve. Just let it go with the flow.
Great, good. And Elizabeth.
Yeah, two things. First, I want to add on to what Rishi just said. I think when I was in grade 7, I was like, there is no way I can make anything that's actually going to help the world, because I thought I pushed the limits and I didn't really know enough to do anything. But I think exactly what Rishi said, like if you learn enough about something and you're passionate enough about something, like you have the potential to do anything. So if you're young, go for it. You have a lot of time. Do it while you can. And the second thing is stick close to the people around you. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Reach out to your teachers, mentors, whatever. I don't think I would be wrong in saying that all of our projects are not just a product of ourselves, but also of the people around us. So our mentors, our parents, our teachers, our friends, our family, everyone. A project is, I think someone said it best like this, a STEM project is like a family project. It's like everyone, right? Like it's not just you, everyone is helping you. And remember that you're not alone, I guess, when you're doing your project, because a lot of people face the same obstacles, and when you go talk to someone who has also faced those obstacles, it's easier for you to overcome them. So yeah, stick to those around you.
No, this mic is not. Wait, is this mic back? Yeah, okay, we got the mic back, awesome. So I think in general, we tend to think that the problems that we see on a day-to-day basis are unique to each and every one of us, because sometimes they can seem so specific, and they affect you in very specific ways. But what you'll realize when you do a STEM project is that a lot of people notice and are affected by the same things that you are. So in a way, it sort of brings a different level of significance to a project when you know that the work that you're doing potentially not only remedies a solution for yourself that potentially can be significant for you, but it can be significant for others as well, especially when that change is made within your community. It is a very different sense of achievement and accomplishment.
I feel for me, like when you're thinking of starting a STEM project, like as Arishi said, it's really good to build it off like what you're passionate about, as that will help motivate you, and it will help give you other ideas so you can really see like what a problem might be in that area. I think another thing is like a lot of people think that if you do a STEM project and it doesn't work out or something, that it was a mistake or a waste of time, right? But I feel like that's even almost more valuable if you create a science fair project or a STEM project that isn't at first successful. I think the main thing is just to keep going, to keep putting more effort into it and not give up, because in the end you will be successful, and even if you're not, you will find you might find what you didn't do right, so you can do it right next time. And another big thing is, I would say, when coming to like a STEM project, a STEM fair, everyone's interconnected, and you're really I would say the STEM project, it's like a big community, right? So everyone's there to support you, and I would say those are like the main points to do a STEM project.
Great. Caitlin.
Okay, so for me, what I think is the most important thing for each individual is what fuel you're using. Because I hope that it's not for the medals or for the money or for the recognition. I'd say the number one thing is that your passion, like all of us just mentioned. Find something that you're passionate about and just keep living your life like you are living it now. And if you want to start a project, have that at the back of your mind and see in what ways it can be incorporated with your passion. One thing I love about STEM is that there is no restriction. STEM can be applied to anything and everything. So as long as you have the right fuel to keep you going and to get you through all of the discouragement that will come, all of these obstacles, you're on the right track. Perseverance is key.
Yeah, and I'd just like to reiterate that fact that doing something that you're really passionate about to solve a problem is really the biggest, it's the most important part, right? You can't do something that you hate. And I think if you're also looking for a problem to solve, there's a lot of really big problems in the world that often go unnoticed. And you can always find oftentimes one that you also can resonate with, you can have some empathy for. You might see it in your day-to-day lives, right? And yeah, and I think that's a great starting point. And yeah.
Yuri?
So I believe that everybody should do a STEM project because when I did a STEM project, a lot of the things that I learned through my own research, they were not taught in your traditional schooling system. So I think that just being able to learn a STEM project just teaches you independence and curiosity. So keep doing that. And I also totally agree with Caitlin. Doing a STEM project is not about the medals or the money or the awards. I think just the fact that you get to travel, meet people, have this network that you can contact later on and build on with your STEM projects, I think that's just a medal itself. So yeah.
Thanks. Yuri, you touched on things that you learned as a part of doing the project, and maybe as our last question, we'll come back across the group with that, and that is what are the most important things that you think you learned out of doing your project? Maybe it's STEM-related things, skills and knowledge and that sort of thing, or maybe it's something personal or whatever. But what are the main things that you got out of doing your project?
So for my project, a lot of things that I learned, I had to learn on the internet. So I just think that being able to do this STEM project taught me a lot of independence and taught me that I can learn basically anything off the internet just for free. So if you have an idea and you want to make a difference in the world and you have internet access, it's really easy. You can just type in something in Google and in 2 minutes, you've learned something.
And Malik?
Yeah, so I think learning is really easy when it comes to something you're passionate about. And it's really easy to pick up something on your own as well. I know when I do something in school, even if it's something that I like, the fact that it's in school kind of sometimes will ruin it for me. But going out and doing it on my own is something that I've always enjoyed doing. So, yeah.
And Caitlin?
I think the key message here is no excuses. I can come up with like a list of million things that could have stopped us from doing this project. For example, our school doesn't support the science fair, but there are individual entries. Or you don't have enough money to create something, but there's always something you can do to solve this issue. If you like something enough, you can make it happen. I think that also another thing is the importance of the people around you. Like the human brain is so creative. Anybody and everybody can offer very valuable advice. If you put yourself out of your comfort zone, you talk to people, every single person will play an important role in your journey.
And Andre?
I would say for me, I really learned that it's really important to be personally aware of what's going on in your life when you're doing a STEM project or a science fair project. For me, when doing this project, I really learned a lot about myself. Of course, these results, they're going to help, and hopefully I can apply this to other people to help others. But I think the big thing that I took away from this project was really that you learn a lot about yourself, how you are, what's best for you, and things that can really improve your well-being in day-to-day life.
Noah?
I know we have a lot of projects here at STEM 2023 that were based, and even on the stage actually, that were based on AI and machine learning. And often when we think of machine learning and AI, we think of it as the future of STEM and of intellectual achievement. But one thing that, at least at this point, I think the human mind can supersede AI in is its ability to pivot and to look at new solutions to the same problem. Because I know that when I did my STEM project, as I mentioned, something really didn't go my way, and essentially I had to take the same information I had and try to look at it a totally different way. And I think as far as AI does and will go, the human mind will always have significance in that respect.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll give the last word to our two top winners here. They're our best project winners. So Elizabeth.
Yeah, okay. 3 things: resilience, time management, and sacrifice. So the first is resilience, and I think that just for me means not going too low when you're at your low and not going too high when you're at your high. So you're gonna experience like obstacles and you're gonna experience successes, and just remember to, take in account both of those things when you succeed or when you fail. The second thing is time management. So as a grade 11 student, I had to balance school and this project this whole year, and it was really difficult because I had to make a lot of sacrifices. So my friends would be out doing things on the weekend or studying for whatever, and I would have to be making sure to do both of the project and my studying at the same time. And I guess that ties in with my third point, so sacrifice. Realize that your sacrifices are going to be worth it one day, hopefully, and that you need to make sacrifices to succeed sometimes. And those can feel like really hard to make when you're making them, because you can see everyone else moving ahead of you and you're still where you are, and you don't think your sacrifices are going to be worth it. But I think the whole point of sacrifice is that you can believe that you're going to be there someday. So yeah, those 3. So sacrifice, time management, resilience.
And Arushi, what words of advice and what things did you learn from you doing your project?
I think one of the biggest things I learned is the power of collaboration and networking, because all across my project, I received help and support from so many people. Like, many people think of the pandemic as a disadvantage. Like, schools were closed for some time, so many things happened and changed, but I thought of it as an opportunity. Lots of conferences became online, which meant I didn't need to travel all around the world. I could just, from my home computer, just listen to so many amazing people. And it allowed me to attend several conferences related to planetary defense, be it the Lunar and Planetary Science Conference, or any others. And it allowed me to talk to so many people who were interested in the same subject as me. And we were able to build each other's knowledge. And I think I made some very nice lifelong connections there. So I think collaborations is always a very important thing when making a project.
Excellent. Well, first, I want to congratulate all of you on your success this year at the Canada-wide Science Fair 2023. You are an extraordinary group of young scientists, engineers, and innovators, and I want to thank you for sharing your ideas, your thoughts, and your inspirations with us today, and best of luck in the future with your projects, your STEM, and everything. So congratulations again. Let's give them a big hand. The 7 top young scientists, engineers, and innovators in Canada here at Canada-wide Science Fair 2023 in Edmonton. Thanks very much for joining us for Meet the Winners, and we hope you have a great day.